host of the Gridiron.
Then we got some injury news. Unfortunately, Armon Watts. That's him right there being carted off the field. Unfortunately, so he's having surgery. So he's like the 28th or 29th guy the Giants are putting on IR. And if Raheem Lane, he can't play, he might be the 30th guy or so the Giants are putting on IR for the season. 30 guys. Unbelievable. All right, so let's see here. All right. So, surgery for Armon Watts, unfortunately. Shame. All right. So, John Michael Schmitz with an ankle. Evan Neal with a rib and a hip. Armon Watts with a knee. And, of course, he's got to get his surgery. Let's see. Micah McFadden with his neck. He did not practice. This was on Wednesday, though, but head coach Brian Daboll confirmed that Watts suffered a tear to his knee and underwent surgery, unfortunately. So his season obviously is over, right? Bryce Ford-Wheaton with a shoulder. Cory Durden with a shoulder. Outside linebacker Brian Burns had an illness. Ty Summers with a neck. Greg Stroman with a shin. Dee Williams with a toe were limited in practice. Jake Kubas with a shin, and outside linebacker Kayvon Thibodeaux with a toe, but he fully practiced. So Kubas and Thibodeaux fully practice. So that's good. Let's see what we got now. Yeah, a few guys popped up on it, and so we'll have to wait and see. Anybody misses any time. And also we got here. So the Giants listed 4 players like linebacker Micah McFadden, the neck, offensive tackle Evan Neal with a rib and a hip, center John Michael Schmitz with an ankle, and defensive tackle Armon Watts with a knee, who did not participate on practice. McFadden and Schmitz missed last week's game against the Colts and are trending toward missing their respective second games, unfortunately. Watts was injured in last week's game, and head coach Brian Daboll told reporters that he underwent knee surgery this past week. The assumption is that he will land on injury reserve by Saturday's 4 p.m. deadline to set the Week 18 roster. 6 Giants were listed as limited. Outside linebacker Brian Burns with an illness. As I just said, Cory Durden with a shoulder. Bryce Ford-Wheaton with a shoulder. Defensive back Greg Stroman with a shin. Linebacker Ty Summers with a neck. And defensive back Dee Williams with a toe. Burns is one of the 2 Giant players who has not missed any game snaps this season due to injury. Now, obviously, he's missed some snaps, but not due to injury, though. Offensive lineman Greg Van Roten being the other. And that's not expected to change this weekend, despite the Giants having nothing to play for in the regular season finale against the Eagles, except for pride. Guard Jake Kubas, who last week started at right guard with Van Roten moving to center for Schmitz, was a full participant despite his shin injury. Outside linebacker Kayvon Thibodeaux, toe, who was also a full participant despite his injury. I mean, it's the same thing. You got some guys in there, right, obviously, who are playing a different position. You got like Evan Neal playing at right tackle. You got Luminor going over to left tackle. You got Evan Neal playing at right tackle. You got Greg Van Roten, right, who was the right guard, is now playing center. We got sliding Jake Kubas in there, and then because Runyon's not there no more, you got Stinney. It's so difficult to get anything going. You have no cohesion, right? It's like almost I think the Giants, I think I saw something, I think it was their 9th different offensive line combination, I think, was last week, which I think ties them for second worst. I think it was the Patriots had 10 different offensive line combinations. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. Straight up recipe for disaster, right? And it's so much. Sometimes you might have the same guys, but you got them playing all different positions too. It just, once again, these injuries are just absolute killers. Absolute killers. And I say it goes back to the other thing I was talking about, right? It's like, you can't pick the phone up and talk to some, you look at data. It's like, yes, this team here has been relatively healthy the past 10 years. Wow. And especially if something like if one of the teams that stays relatively healthy, it plays on artificial turf or something. Pick the phone up. I mean, can you call them, or can we come visit? I mean, see what you guys do. I mean, I don't know if that's something they do or they don't do, or I don't know. But I mean, it's just ridiculous. Year in and year out, it almost seems like the Giants are totally decimated. I mean, everybody gets injured. Every team's got injury. But sometimes there are just some teams that I did this same thing too. I did this with a video earlier this past week. The Giants had like 28 guys. I think I had my video on IR. The Eagles had 11. 28 to 11. The Eagles had 28 or 29 guys, I think it was, with injury designations throughout the whole season. 28 or 29. The Giants had like almost 60. The Giants had had about twice as many guys with some sort of an injury, like whatever, Andrew Thomas 1 week was out with somebody who showed up on the injury report. Giants had almost 60 different guys throughout the course of the season. 60. The Eagles had like 28 or 29. Half the amount of guys. The year that they went, I think it was might have been 2 years ago, the Eagles were, or the year that they went to the Super Bowl. They didn't have that many injuries either. There was the 1 year that it was Mike Vrabel's final season when he was with Tennessee, right? His team was so decimated by injuries, and they were by far the worst team as far as injuries. Jacksonville was the least. And that one season, Jacksonville, so it was 2 seasons ago. Yeah, it was 2 seasons ago. Jacksonville won the division. Tennessee did not. Tennessee was annihilated by injuries. Jacksonville was not. But that one season also, I remember the Eagles did not have many injuries at all either. And the Giants were once again toward the top. Not the top, but they were top 5 or 6 or 7. They were up at the top. Eagles once again down at the bottom. How can almost every year, or like 4 out of every 5 years, the Eagles stay healthy, where the Giants 4 out of every 5 years get decimated by injuries? Success leaves clues. There's not magical knees that the Eagle players have. There's not magical water that they drink. There's not magical Gatorade there. There's stuff that they do on a consistent basis, right? Whether it's playing on grass or whether this or that, there's stuff that they do on a consistent basis, right, that keeps their players healthy. And there's stuff on a consistent basis that the Giants do that makes them get injured. Success leaves clues. There's a lot of clues, like maybe with the Eagles, because they've had a lot of success at staying healthy. Another one of the big reasons why almost like every year, last year they fell apart toward the end, but once again, what the hell were they? 10-1 last year. And they wound up 11-6. I think it was, they didn't get 12 wins, but they were 10-1 at one point, and they fell apart. They wanted to win this game here, the final game of the season. They could be 14-3 this year. Last year they were 10-1 at one point. The year before that they went to the Super Bowl. They're not going to the Super Bowl. They're not going to be 10-1. They're not going to be 14-3 if they're decimated by injuries, by the way the Giants are. There's stuff that they do. And I said, I don't know if it's because they play on grass or what, but there's stuff that they do. Saquon's had 37,000 carries this year. If he had that many carries, how many times did he get injured with the Giants? He hasn't had an injury designation all season long with the Eagles. Nothing. His knees, his back, his spine, all this stuff didn't magically, he got magical knees because he's with the now. There's stuff that they're doing that we're not doing, or they're not doing stuff that we are. You know what I mean? So These injuries are just straight up killers, absolute straight up killers.